What's up everyone, I'm Jessekazam. Welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. In this video, I wanted to do a discussion on what to keep and what to sell in Escape from Tarkov. There can be an overwhelming amount of items that you come across in your raid, and especially early in the wipe, you can really quickly fill up your entire stash space with a bunch of items and not know how to get the best value for your items, or not want to sell something that you'll regret later on because you need that item. So we're going to talk about all that. I stream Escape from Tarkov a few days a week. All my links will be down below. I'd love to have you stop by and say hey. And we also have a pretty active Discord if you're looking for people to potentially run raids with, ask questions, get some help with quests. A lot of times there are people there that are willing to help. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in. So like we said, there can be a ton of items in Escape from Tarkov that you come by. You know, I've only put a few days into the wipe. This is my scav junk box, and it's already full with just an absolutely crazy amount of miscellaneous stuff. Now, just to get it out of the way, you know, the point of this guide isn't to just go through a list of items in Escape from Tarkov and talk about what's worth it and what's not worth it, but rather to start a discussion about how you can look at items and figure out if they have value to them and if you want to keep them or sell them. There are resources out there like the wiki, which will tell you every single thing that you need for every quest, everything that you need that's found in raid, everything that all the barters and stuff like that. But that's an enormous amount of information to know and or memorize, so that when you're in a raid or whatever, it's hard. It's definitely worth taking a look at if you like to kind of like min-max that kind of stuff and learn a lot about what the value of everything is. I definitely check that out. I'll link the wiki down below. But I wanted to give some like more general tips, overall tips on just how to manage your stash if you're just playing the game and kind of figuring it out as you go. In general, you want to keep everything that you can at first. As long as you've got space, you know, you should fill it with stuff because you never know what you're going to find or what the value of it is going to be. But as you get to that space where you start to get full and you want to start maybe selling some items or offloading them, there's definitely a few things to consider. So one is knowing what found in raid versus not found in raid is, right? So we see like I've got a few keck tapes here. 3 of them I found in raid, 1 of them I didn't. This probably means I had one in my gamma and died, or, you know, got a run through in the raid. So I lost the found in raid status. So knowing, well, you know, if I want to sell some, I can only sell 3 and I have to keep this one or sell it to a trader. So that gives me, or if I figure out that, hey, like I only need 2 for a quest, you know, I think I need these for a quest eventually. I wasn't sure how many, so I just started keeping them. If I found, and I've got another one down here, if I find that I only need, you know, 2 for a quest and I don't need them to be found in raid, oh, okay, well, I've got 5. I can, and enough of them are found in raid that I can sell these on the flea market and maybe make extra profit. If you're not sure about an item, you can always right click and do a filter by item, see how much they're going for on the flea market right now. 30,000 seems to be a pretty decent price. And then you can also check the trader. So therapist would probably buy that. I'm not sure for how much, but that's always the game you want to play, is knowing what the found in raid status is, knowing if this is an item that you can sell on the flea market, and then checking the price of it. Once you start to get a ton of an item, you can definitely start looking at selling it, right? Like I found a lot of keck tapes. I found a lot of rec batteries. I've got 6, you know, 5, 1 right here. I know that I need these for a quest eventually, just because I've been through the wipe. So I could just quickly, now that I have a bunch, if I'm at that place where my stash is full, I need to make some space, and or I just want to make some money, I'll start looking at what are the things I have the most of, and then check if the wiki says I need 6 for a quest. Maybe I'll keep all of them. If the wiki says I need 6 for a quest, but I check and that quest is way down the road, you start to think, well, I'm only a few days into the wipe and I have 6. Maybe I can sell 4 of them, make some money, save up some space, and I'm going to find more between now and then. Most normal items like hard drives, motors, bleach, nails, duct tape, most of this stuff has some sort of purpose. Most of the like non super high value stuff has a purpose early in the game. A lot of these things are extremely valuable in the beginning, especially on the flea market, and then die off in value later on. So a lot of these items are needed for the hideout upgrades, or for barters. Like a lot of dog tags you can barter for things. You do need a few dog tags for some quests. a lot of this stuff has a use. So if you start to see that you've got a ton of it, if you've got a ton of it and you're looking to offload most of it, just check the wiki, say, hey, look up, rec batteries. It's like, oh, I need 3 for a quest, 2 for this hideout upgrade. And you can kind of decide when that is. Or if you just have one item of something that you might think like, maybe a helix or something, or a power bank. Power banks haven't found them too much in the past. I found 2 so far, but this is something that it's like, okay, I only have 2. Does that mean that they're more valuable? Do the same thing. You can check the wiki, you can check the flea market, you can check the trader and see what they sell for and kind of figure that out. But most of the normal items are going to have some sort of purpose. So check it out first. But if you're just finding yourself collecting some of the same items over and over again, always check the value on the flea market if you can get them found in raid and you're level 10, because it's just an incredible way to make money. You might say, you might say, well, I see those all the time, I'm not going to pick them up anymore. I have a bunch of them. But you might find that I see these all the time. I'm just getting great RNG. These are really valuable in the flea market because a bunch of people need them. So you might want to keep collecting them and then just instant selling them. It is worth noting that a lot of the items that you might find relatively commonly might have a really inflated price on the flea market right away. And you might think, hey, I can make a ton of money off of this item, but it's just worth noting that investing in the hideout could be worth it in the long term, because you can craft other items that might be valuable and you get passive income with the Bitcoin farm and with all sorts of stuff, extra stats to your character, the scav junk box. So just be aware of that even though you might be sacrificing some money up front, it might be worth keeping in the long run. Now, most of the high value items like Bitcoin and GP coins and stuff like that, and most of the like high tech loot, military cables, like the vertexes, all that kind of stuff, most of those don't have a lot of uses. Most of them don't have a ton of quests attached to them. And if they do have a quest attached to them, it's farther down the chain. So once again, it's up to you to decide, well, I don't see these very often. I'll always check the wiki and see if you need it. See if you need it found in raid. If you need something later on for a quest and you don't need it to be found in raid, it's almost always worth selling, because most likely the value of that item is going to go down over time. They change this frequently. You never really know, but most likely that value is going to go down over time. So you can make a bunch of money off of it if you find it and a bunch of people want it or need it, or a bunch of people that are further along from you need it. You can make a bunch of money and then that's going to be worthless later on. It's kind of up to you to decide, but most of the treasure items outside of obtaining the Kappa container, and treasure items are a lot of like the streamer items. So I've got, the fire clean, the 1G phone, the beard oil, the golden rooster. A lot of that stuff is worth a lot to therapists, and there's not a whole lot of quests attached to them, especially if you're not going to go for the Kappa container. The Kappa container is the biggest secure container in the game, and the quest to get it is normally that you have to collect in raid one of every single one of these streamer items. And so if you're going to go for that, you can start saving them, which is why I have mine separate. But outside of that, there's not really a use for them. So every time I find an additional 1G phone or an additional anything like that, I just instantly sell it. There's normally not even a whole lot of barters for them. Some of the treasure items like Bitcoin has a lot of barters for. So if you find them or craft a bunch of them, you can definitely take a look. But in general, once again, it's a complicated thing because the loot in Escape from Tarkov is super varied, and any day they can make a new barter and make a new change. These are just general rules that most of the high value stuff doesn't have a ton of like requirements for hideout or quests. So just check it. And if you don't need it, then you can sell that for some decent money. Weapons are a great thing to sell. For me, I'm always like trying not to use weapons that I'm not very proficient with. So if I find what I know to be a high value weapon, or a weapon that I know that I don't have access to good ammo for, or it needs a ton of attachments to really be proficient, I might still take it and then just sell it. Weapons don't have to be found in raid. So, all of this stuff, that if I wanted to, that I haven't found in raid, I can still list all these weapons. Sometimes, especially gunsmith, the task gunsmith, which is like 15 or 16 quests that mechanic gives you. Those weapons that people need for those can be really high on the flea market. So that's definitely something you can sell. For me personally, If I get like a really rare item or a really rare weapon, or if I kill somebody with like a really kitted something, and that gear fear starts to set in of like, man, I know deep down I'm not going to use this, sell it. Make that extra space in your inventory and make that extra cash, or try to run it and use that really good weapon to make a bunch more money. But letting it sit in your stash just clogs up space that you can use for other barter items or other weapons in the future. So that's really it. This isn't going to be something where we're going to go through every single item in the game and say, hey, at this point, X, Y, or Z has value or doesn't have value. That would take forever, A, and B, the value of things are changing all the time. What I wanted to do was just talk about, how to manage your stash, how to be checking on what has value, what resources you have via just checking the flea market and the Escape from Tarkov wiki, and talk about how there's more things that add value to an item. They could be worth a lot on the flea market, but I need it for find and raid for a quest. And if I'm trying to get through all my quests, then that has more value to me, or I don't care about the quest. I just want a bunch of money. That's going to make this item more valuable, so I can do that. So I just wanted to have a discussion about that. Another tip for me is just to always fill your bag while you're in a raid. Even if your stash is full and you don't have a lot of room, or you're not sure what items are worth it yet, the best way to learn is by just filling your bag and checking after. Any empty space, anything, even a Zippo lighter or spark plug or a Plex, anything in a slot is better than nothing. And that can accumulate a ton of money over time. Even if you're finding something all the time and it's not that worth it, anything is worth more than an empty space in your backpack. That of course can make it harder to loot when you kill somebody and there's a little bit more Tetris involved. But if you're starting your way to exit or something like that, I would always say fill your bag up. So yeah, I hope that this helped. I hope that this kind of just broke down a little bit of how to think about the items, especially once you start filling up your stash. And hopefully this helps you make a little bit more money in Escape from Tarkov. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. I'm always trying to create content that helps shorten the learning curve of the game and gets you and your raids having fun as soon as possible. If you like the video, think about dropping it a like or subscribing for more Tarkov content like this. Once again, I stream Escape from Tarkov, and we've got the Discord and the Twitter. All those links will be down below. But thank you again for stopping by, and I'll see y'all on the next one.